is a quick look at the new form to custom post type feature in Smithy Factory plugin. So if we have a look at our elements list, we have the ability now to add our forms to our own custom post type without having to manually write hooks and whatnots according to the breakdown stocks. So if I enable the form to custom post type, then it will give me a list of all post types. Be aware it will give you a list of all post types, and there's a reason for this, which I will go through in a little bit about how we set up our custom post types and what we can do with them. So I've set up a custom post type and I called it forms. So now I want my forms to save to that custom post type. And you should be able to see up here, forms. So all I need to do is save that, and now I need to sort of wire things up. So let's have a look at a couple of things. I have never used Metabox before. I put it on here because I've never used it before, and I thought, I wonder how Metabox works and what it does and all this kind of malarkey. So bear with me as I stumble my way through this. But I used the free version, so be aware you can do all of this with the free versions. You do not need to use Metabox or ACF, but it helps basically, and you can use the free versions to get all you need, so it won't cost you anything. So if I edit my custom post type, it's simply got a name. I've then got labels. They are just boringly the way you do everything. And again, the reason I mentioned a moment ago that it will list all post types, including things like taxonomies and stuff that you definitely won't want to choose, is because I might want to do things like here. I don't want my post type to be public because it's custom, it's forms, and maybe my form submission contains sensitive information I don't want anybody accidentally finding by either having it public or by having it in the search. So I've excluded it from the search, and it says, do you want it to become publicly queryable? No, I don't. So I've done everything I can in here to stop my post type from showing up. It doesn't have a query var. You can't do anything with it. Which means that it wouldn't show up in a drop down of all custom post types because I've hidden it. So I have to show all custom post types that are registered rather than all of those that want to be found, as it were. That's why you get such a long list. Anyway, just be careful when you pick it that you pick the form, the custom post type that you've created. And I've just have the title. That's all I need. But as a demonstration, so I have the title here. You can also enable custom fields. Let's enable custom fields so that we can show you that you don't even need, and this is assuming you can create your own custom post types with a bit of manual PHP, but you don't need Metabox or ACF. I'm sure other people use other plugins to create their custom post types and whatnot. So then what I want to do is I'm going to go to a page, and I've got a sample page I'm going to edit. I can't remember what I was working on last time, so this could be full of nonsense or it could be empty. Oh, I was working on this. Marvelous. Right, so we have a form, and in our form we have fields as per, and these are going to have an ID. So in our advanced section, you've got the ID and its name. So it's nice and simple. The ID for name is name, message is message, email is email. But it's important that you know that ID is how the field will be identified in our custom post type. So if we come down to our actions, we have no actions on our form at the moment. So we say, okay, let's add our Smithy save to post. So I'm going to say, yep, I want to add Smithy save to post. And save that. Now I'm just going to exit to the front end because I want to enter a post. So I'm going to say that someone's filling in the form. Somebody who can't type or spell. There we go. There we go. So we have a name, an email, and a message, and we're going to submit our form. Thank you very much. We have your form. Marvellous. So, leaving our form open for the time being, we'll go to our dashboard and we go to our forms. And here we have an email at address.com, just as we entered. And this, quite frankly, hideous custom fields dialog, which is your basic default WordPress custom fields. Okay, now I've literally just created this, and at some point I might look at how we add fields here, but actually not knowing what the fields are going to be in the form and not knowing what fields you might want up here, no, it's very complicated to work that out. However, there are a lot of plugins that will enable you to add columns here, and once you know the ID of the field and therefore you know the ID of the custom field that's going to be in your form here, then you could wire that up yourself using that plugin or with a bit of custom code. But as I said, if I can figure out a way to take two unknown quantities and make them known, ooh, science and magic, I will do so. Otherwise, yeah, you're just going to get the email address. So we've got our custom fields, and you can then get those as post meta. So theoretically, you can now start building custom blocks and whatnot, pulling out the forms post type and putting your information wherever you want it to go, like picking one of these posts at random and putting it up as a review somewhere, or however you want to work it. But I just thought I'd show you as well. So that's with custom fields, and you know, that's great out of the box if you know PHP or if you're comfy remembering field names and stuff. But a lot of people might say, well, actually me, I want to use ACF, or I want to use MetaBox. Now ACF is essentially the same thing as MetaBox, just with different layouts, menus, bits and bobs, but it does the same job. So I'm going to show you in MetaBox because I am does be learning it, but it does the same thing either way. So if we go to our post type, we're going to edit our post type just momentarily, and we're going to say, actually, I don't want you to support custom fields after all. Let's update you now, and I don't want you to have custom fields. So when I go back to my form and edit it, I can't see anything. It's useless. So now you can see how that was essential in getting that information. But if I go to MetaBox instead and custom fields, yes, okay, so add new custom fields, and we're gonna call it a form subfields or something. And again, bear with me, I am very slow at doing this because I've used ACF for about 15 years. So I am literally just going to add text fields, and this text field is text. Label is going to be name, ID, and this is where we tie things together. So you see the ID here for our field is going to be name. All we need to do is make sure that when we come into name, the ID of that field is name, and therefore they match, and therefore we're going to see that field when we go and visit our forms. So no default value, no attributes, no label descriptions and whatnot. I can't be doing all that. It's all kind of obvious. So that's it. I'm going to have my name field. Save the changes for that. And again, I mean, I will add them all eventually. I'll add them all in a second. But if we go and I need to set the thing, don't I? Right. So there, I think, is that right? Yeah, post type is form. Right, so I'm changing the location where these fields will show up as being forms. So when I go and visit forms, now they have form subfields. Oh, I can't even spell that. Name, someone's name. So now, as it were, wiring up MetaBox or ACF to the form submission so you can actually see the information isn't really very difficult. You just make sure that the IDs match. So I'll add another one just for fun, and we'll call this message. Oh, what am I doing? I'm using MetaBox text area and message ID is now message. It does all that for me, so I don't have to mess about. Just add one more. Oh, I think it's got a thing, hasn't it? Metabox. Yes, got an email. Why not? I don't know. So we'll add an email and we'll call it email, and we'll make sure that our ID is just email, and then we'll save our changes. So in ACF you do the same thing, but you create a field group, you add your fields, and then it's got the selection at the bottom for where it shows up, whereas this one's got a settings box. Set it to sharpen forms. Now I've got all 3 fields in there. We've got someone's name, some information, and the email address. And you can obviously do all the normal things you'd expect to do with custom fields and change the order they're in, do what you like with them. But there you go. That is about the size of it. You can, without having to mess about with custom hooks and whatnot, you can come into Smithy Factory, Elements, Settings, enable the custom post type, choose the custom post type you want, and then when you create a form, here, use, no, I don't want to use you, use the Smithy save to post action on your form and tie the IDs together, and there you go. You will have custom post type with your form information in it. I mean, that's about it really. Not very exciting, but hopefully very useful. Thank you for watching. Rather than make another video, it just did occur to me while I was finishing that one off that you might want to use file attachments. The idea behind making this custom post type form available was just for simple stuff, like if you wanted reviews and things like that. So it wasn't really intended for form file uploads, and I've now spent quite a bit of time discovering that they're incredibly difficult to do, because Breakdance, as I've said before, doesn't have an API, doesn't give you friendly hooks and filters. There's nothing you can do, and it also, helpfully, when it's using forms, adds a handful of its own filters, so you can't even access the uploads directory, because Breakdance has thrown a filter at you with no name, which means you can't even switch the filter off and then back on again. This is not, I mean, there you go. So that boring explanation aside, I have managed to do something which I hope will be at least useful. If you do want to do something like, I've got a couple of clients who let people upload images to their websites, so it would let you do things like that. It's not going to be into a secure folder, it's just into the media library as normal, but I'll show you quickly how that would all work. So in your form, you notice I've added a file upload field. Do what you like with it. You can, I mean, I've said you can have a maximum of 3 files, so yes, you can have multiple files. I've called it our file for want of a better thing to call it. And as you go to the bottom, you'll notice Smithy saved post does allow you to have, I would like to upload, and it warns you upload to the media library. This is another secure folder like the Breakdance one. It will upload to the media library, but it is kind of, I don't know, 10% secure, I guess. It just, I'll explain that in a minute. So yes, you can add it to the media library if you want to. Yes, we do. Save our form, and then if you go to the form itself and type something like, this is my name, and this is my email, and this is my message, and then I'm just gonna drag some images over that I've used before, and there are 3 car images. Oh yes, that's not really a valid email address. Let's use my actual email address. So there you are, your message has been received. If we go in to look at our forms now, we've got our form here, and it's not very complicated. It'll just give you a comma delimited list of the URLs where this has been saved, and it will then also show you where it's been saved. So what I've done is I've added my own folder, because you cannot use the uploads folder. Like I said, Breakdance adds a filter, and everything that tries to go to uploads goes to the Breakdance secure folder, which is fine except that Breakdance then deletes all the stuff that you've uploaded because it doesn't recognize this as a custom poster anyway. Long story. So it's going to be saved instead in Smithy Forms, and this number 171 is the ID of your form. That's automatically created for you, and then this is just the name of the image, and as I said, it's a comma delimited set of URLs for all of the files that have been uploaded to this form. Saved in Uploads, Smithy Forms, ID of the form. So when I said it's kind of a bit secure, I mean, people might know they can browse uploads and they might know they can browse them by month, but the fact they might, they're not that likely to know that Smithy Forms exists, and they probably won't know the ID of your form. So it's going to be a little bit harder for them to find, but it's not secure. I may work on that later if people feel like it's worth doing, but this isn't really, as I said, it's never meant for that. And then if we go to our media library, there are the 3 cars that I just uploaded, and again you can look here, you can see Smithy Forms, and therefore you can use these images. Now the previews, I didn't keep what the metadata, as they call it, because if you want to add things like the visual preview at this size and so on, then you have to add all of the media sizes, and I didn't think people would likely want 6 different image sizes for an attachment somebody's added. Again, if people tell me they want that, I can add it back in. But just to let you know, yes, you can attach files, very basic, will add to the media library, goes into a special Smithy Factory folder that is made for you. So if you want people to be able to attach things like a CV or whatever, then they can do so, and it will save it, and you'll be able to gain access to it as an admin. Probably not that friendly for clients to pick up, but given that it's all going to be stored in one place, it's not that difficult to patch together a little bit of PHP to present them with the documents as well. If you want to, if you use again Metabox and whatnot, then you might be able to find ways of attaching it. I'll look at expanding it, but I just thought I'd let people know I have today added the facility to upload a file if you need it. Otherwise, I think that's about it for forms. So once again, thanks for watching, happy building, and goodbye.